Hey everybody, in today's video I'm going to be discussing why Sorcerer is one of the greatest movies of all time. Now, William Friedkin's Sorcerer is one of the most misunderstood films in American cinema and perhaps one of its most uncompromising. After the success of Friedkin's two previous movies, The French Connection, which earned Friedkin the Academy Award for Best Director, and The Exorcist, which became a global box office phenomenon, Friedkin entered a rare position in Hollywood. He had both prestige and creative freedom. By this point, studios were willing to finance almost anything he wanted to make. The French Connection was made of roughly $1.8 million, while The Exorcist cost around $12 million and became one of the most profitable films of its era. With this momentum, Friedkin embarked on what he would later describe as his most personal and difficult project, called Sorcerer. The film's budget was initially around $5 to $6 million, but due to extreme production difficulties, it escalated to around $21 to $22 million. The shoot was notoriously brutal, filmed in remote jungle locations under extreme weather conditions, with constant logistical breakdowns and risks. At the same time in Hollywood history, another director, Francis Ford Coppola, was undergoing a similar pattern with Apocalypse Now in the Philippines. Both films emerged from a very specific moment in 1970s cinema, a period where directors like Coppola, Friedkin, De Palma, Lucas and Spielberg were reshaping the boundaries of American film. Now let's get into what the story of the film is about. Sorcerer follows four men, each escaping a different criminal past, who end up stranded in a remote fictional town in Latin America called Porvenir. Each man is already in a state of exile, socially, morally, and geographically. Before coming to Porvenir, they were in desperate parts of the world living in crime and extreme conditions. Had they not escaped, their past would have destroyed them. The four men are Nilo, who's an assassin, Kasim, who's a Palestinian militant, an explosive expert who's forced to flee as his comrades are all arrested and killed. Victor, a French financier accused of fraud, escapes tragic consequences as his partner commits suicide, and Jackie, a criminal in New Jersey who survives a disastrous robbery, leaving his crew dead and mafia hunting him for revenge. In Porvenir, they are now all in the same condition, men with nothing left to lose. When an impossible opportunity arises, they take it. The job is simple in concept, almost absurd in execution though, and that is to transport unstable nitroglycerin across 218 miles of jungle terrain to extinguish an oil well fire. The cargo is so volatile that even the smallest vibration can trigger an explosion. This journey is a prolonged confrontation with death itself for the characters. The journey peaks when the men have to drive the truck to cross a river via a bridge made of woods and ropes. The scene is superbly designed, and it is a moment of great cinema, a tense sequence as it delivers a striking image perfectly matched with the content it underlines, which is that human struggle through life to achieve a target, no matter how meaningless the target is. The meaning of it actually depends on the desperation of who carries the mission. The meaning is hence totally subjective, as we lose objectivity the more intertwined with our lives we are. The bridge crossing is a monumental scene. I can only think of Kubrick as another director able to convey its message via the power of image alone, or through the sapient mixing of images with music and sounds. Ultimately, the journey unfolds as a frantic drama and a nearly surreal tragedy. Its most epic moments are underscored by the music of Tangerine Dream, an electronic music band that William Friedkin approached after attending one of their concerts. The director later remarked, "Had I met them before The Exorcist, I would have asked them to score that film as well." The music perfectly fits with the intention and the style of the director. Friedkin never compromises. His films are like his attitude, they go straight to the core. Never have I seen a sequence lacking dramatic tension, never a moment of concession merely for the audience's comfort. Sorcerer makes a totally logical sense in the illogical cruelty it depicts. Its cinematic language is gritty and never embellishes the message. This restraint is a fundamental part of the film's enduring fascination and charm. The way characters are introduced is a very typical example of how Friedkin's style and storytelling is unconventional. He always presents each character in medias res, in the middle of the activity, which defines their role, and not just in the story of the film, but on a bigger, even moral scale as individuals. This approach is very revealing, as it not only tells us what is part of each character in terms of storytelling, but also what is their moral essence. There is never an introduction like those many other Hollywood films have accustomed us to. This is a major feature in Sorcerer, where every single one of the four main characters are right in their wrongdoings when the camera is rolling, and we witness their actions for the very first time we set eyes on them. The camera movements and shot angles are worth a masterclass. After Friedkin made The French Connection, he declared that the documentary style is what he wanted to do for the movie, as it fits perfectly with the script. In Sorcerer, the documentary idea is still showing, particularly at the beginning when he's introducing the character of Kasim. It gives the film a sense of truth and honesty, leaving us defenseless in accepting the story. The epic scale of the journey through the jungle is carefully prepared as the movie transitions from a documentary style to an adventure with elements of the surreal. But even in the surreal, Friedkin always finds a way to keep our feet to the ground, as he reminds us that what we witness is crucially real, even though it seems too much to bear. One of my favourite scenes is the truck building sequence. Right after the men are offered the job of driving the trucks through the jungle, they are instead forced to build them themselves using spare parts from a graveyard of wrecks. This sequence is a remarkable piece of cinema. There is nothing easy about it. No dialogue, no sentimentality, just a carefully calibrated mix of close-ups, tracking shots, and a raw mechanical detail, set against the Tangerine Dream song creation. The power of imagery of this mission through the jungle lies in its insanity. Who would be so stupid, or indeed desperate enough, to accept money for such a deadly mission? This is food for thought. After the initial discomfort and amazement, as the action progresses, the audience is facing the consequences of juxtaposing the symbolic journey depicted on the screen with the realization that those events are not as absurd as they seem. But here is one possible interpretation. Life is governed by fate, an insane, unconscious, pointless, and absurd wizard, a sorcerer indeed, ruling our existence as we go through our life journey filled with perils and danger of any kind, like those men on the trucks. Their pointless mission is a symbolic representation of the meaning of life, or its lack of one. Their desperate attitude is a metaphor of our resignation to accept whatever comes to overcome our miseries. Their regretful crimes are the correspondent of our guilt and shame buried in the past. Just think about it. Can you imagine driving a truck through the jungle while sitting in explosives that can go off at any time? Can you think of a more effective and dark representation of the precarity of human existence? There is no hope, no comfort in Sorcerer. The man as an entity does not get to choose, as his destiny is stated by chance and fate. And intentionally, it makes us feel like prey to Sorcerer, the ultimate wizard. One can feel at the height of one's life, confident, successful, accomplished, and yet, simply by stepping out of our street, be run over and killed. As for the movie, it performed very badly at the box office. People thought that The Sorcerer was a sequel to The Exorcist. Never had they expected a philosophical descent into the mechanisms of human existence. Many people in the audience actually left the theatre in some cases after a few minutes, scared by the beginning showcasing the protagonist speaking different languages and with English subtitles, and went straight to find comfort in Star Wars, which was out in the theatres at the same time as Sorcerer. Apparently, aliens speaking English in a galaxy far, far away was more appealing. So in conclusion, Sorcerer is not a film designed to comfort. It is a film about life and about fate. Friedkin constructs a world where the existence itself is precarious, as if everything is suspended by the fragile thread that could snap at any moment. The narrative becomes a metaphor for the human condition, ambition, desperation, survival, all compressed into an unforgiving journey where control is an illusion. And perhaps that is why this film still resonates today, not because it comforts us, but because it doesn't.